The film begins with the arrival of a group of small alien parasites to Earth. These creatures infect parts of the human brain to control their hosts. Infected humans transform into terrifying beings and turn other humans into their food source. One of these parasites arrives at the home of a high school student named Shinichi Izumi. Because he is wearing headphones, the parasite cannot directly enter his brain. It tries to enter through his nose, but feels something odd as Shinichi resists the creature trying to take over his brain. Eventually, the parasite can only reside in Shinichi's right hand. Hearing Shinichi's screams, his mother comes and says there is a strange creature in his hand, but she just thinks Shinichi is hallucinating. The next day, Shinichi starts feeling something odd with his right hand. Soon after, the hand transforms into a strange creature. Shinichi is extremely shocked to see his changed hand, and he cannot control it. He is even more shocked when the parasite starts talking like a human. He threatens to cut off his hand to get rid of the parasite, but changes his mind as he does not want to lose his right hand. It turns out the parasite attached to Shinichi's hand is not evil. In fact, it is very intelligent. Using Shinichi's computer, it quickly learns everything about humans. Shinichi asks the parasite where it originally came from, but it explains that it remembers nothing of its past. Its first memory starts when it failed to take over Shinichi's brain. Feeling its mission has failed, it now has no further missions to run. It only intends to gather information related to humans. Shinichi is still upset about the parasite in his arm, often called a monster, but the parasite asks him to call it Migi. Shinichi's daily life is spent with Migi, who becomes his right hand. Initially, Shinichi wants to tell his mother what happened to him, but he fears it will worry her and disturb her work. When Shinichi goes to school, Migi learns new things it sees, like when watching an archery club and more. Besides controlling Shinichi's right hand, it turns out Migi can also feel Shinichi's emotions and feelings, like when he feels Shinichi's adrenaline rise when he is near a female friend named Satomi. Meanwhile, other parasites continue to secretly kill humans and make them their food source. This causes a stir in the city with news of mysterious killings where the corpses are found headless. Migi realizes that these mysterious killings are done by humans under the influence of parasites, where parasites grow humans to be their food source. As time goes on, more and more humans are infected by parasites aiming to take over Earth. At one point, Migi, able to feel the presence of fellow parasites nearby, accompanies Shinichi to a diner. Migi tells Shinichi that there he feels the presence of a parasite that has infected a human. They enter to find out what happens to parasites when they have infected a human brain. Upon entering, they are shocked by a horrifying figure busy eating human flesh. The creature realizes their presence. Initially, the parasite thinks Migi is the same as it, having infected a human brain, and it offers a piece of human flesh to Migi to eat. However, he felt odd seeing Migi only nesting in a human's hand. He then realized that Migi had failed in its mission. The parasite then intended to eliminate Migi and Shinichi. Migi, who had to share a body with Shinichi, initially struggled to face the attacks. Fortunately, Migi, who had previously watched the fencing club at school, quickly learned it and managed to decapitate that parasite. The group of parasites, consisting of infected humans, formed a secret organization. They began spreading threats to take over Earth. One of them, who had entered the bodies of police officers and school teachers, was a teacher at Shinichi's school named Ryoko Tamiya. Ryoko, seeing the presence of Shinichi and Migi, then arranged a meeting somewhere. She then introduced Shinichi to a group residing in a police officer named Mr. A and a student named Shimada. Ryoko is an intelligent parasite. She appears to be the leader of the parasites. She is also slightly different from other parasites. She does not eat human flesh and is more interested in studying the unique human way of life. She has even conducted research, namely experimenting with breeding by gathering with fellow parasite hosts. And now she is pregnant. She believes that even though the parents are parasites, the baby in her womb is entirely a normal human. For now, the purpose of her vision remains unknown. She is also interested in what is happening between Shinichi and Migi, who must share a body. Tamiya invites Shinichi and Migi to join the Parasite Organization network. This network gathers all parasites in a safe place to plan their mission to take over Earth. Tamiya feels the parasites act too barbarically when hunting human flesh, which is the main dish for the parasite kind, causing news about the city to arouse government suspicion, which could foil their plans. She asserted that only Takeshi Hirokawa ran for mayor to manage the interests of the parasites. Tamiya's offer was flatly rejected by Shinichi because he felt he was not of the parasite kind. He could still control himself besides his right hand, which had been infiltrated by Migi. Hearing this, Tamiya then asked Shinichi and Migi not to do anything rash and not to disturb her plans. She also told Shinichi that all the students at his school were her hostages. She could easily massacre all the students at Shinichi's school. The next night, while Shinichi was out for a walk, Migi said he felt the presence of a parasite with a murderous aura around them. It turned out to be Mr. A, the police parasite introduced by Tamiya to him. Mr. A knew about the parasite that had died in a diner. He knew Migi had killed a fellow parasite and considered Migi and Shinichi dangerous, and that they needed to be eliminated immediately. Without warning, Mr. A immediately attacked Shinichi, and Migi was overwhelmed by the attack. Shinichi, in fear, finally dared himself to stab Mr. A with a piece of iron, causing him to collapse and bleed out. With that incident, Migi and Shinichi then left the place, but they forgot to decapitate Mr. A, where the parasite nests in the human brain, keeping the Mr. A parasite alive. The parasite tried to leave the police officer's body to find a new body to survive. At that time, Shinichi's mother happened to pass by the place and heard the moans of a human. Slowly, Shinichi's mother approached, and eventually, the parasite entered Shinichi's mother's body. Shinichi and Migi arrived home while still in a state of panic, and they were confronted by Mr. A, who had taken over Shinichi's mother's body. At first, Shinichi thought it was his mother, but eventually realized it was the parasite Mr. A that had infected her. Mr. A attacked Shinichi directly in the heart, causing him to collapse. Migi then entered Shinichi's body and tried to save him. If Shinichi died, Migi would die too. Day by day passed, and finally Shinichi was able to rise again, thanks to Migi kindly saving him by implanting its cells into Shinichi's damaged heart. Shinichi was immediately frustrated, remembering his deceased mother and now his body being infiltrated by Mr. A's parasite. Since the incident, Shinichi's behavior began to change gradually. Satomi was the one who felt the change in Shinichi's behavior and character the most, apparently due to the side effects of Migi's cells implanted in Shinichi's heart. Not only Shinichi felt the side effects from the incident, Migi also underwent changes. Every day it would fall asleep and disappear from Shinichi's body for 4 hours suddenly, no matter when. This caused Shinichi to panic, fearing that if he faced a confrontation without Migi in his body, he would be helpless. Local police visited Shinichi's home because they found Shinichi's fingerprints on an iron rod that had been stuck in the body of a policeman previously infiltrated by Mr. A. At that time, Shinichi kept silent and said he knew nothing about it. Without sufficient evidence, the two policemen left. Shinichi approached Tamiya and asked about the whereabouts of Mr. A, who had taken over his mother's body. Tamiya claimed she knew nothing. Annoyed, Shinichi tried to attack Tamiya, but Tamiya was no ordinary parasite. She chose not to engage with Shinichi and left immediately. One day, Shinichi was shocked to see Shimada, the parasite, at his school. He had a bad feeling about why Shimada suddenly became a student at his school, especially remembering Tamiya's threat that all the students in this school were her hostages. News about the presence of parasites in the city began to circulate among the townspeople, including information on how to determine if a human was infected by a parasite or not by pulling out a strand of hair. If the hair curled and moved, it confirmed the human was infected. While Shimada was blending in with other students at school, a student curiously plucked a hair from Shimada, intrigued by his strange behavior. Shocked to see the hair suddenly curl up, Shimada got angry and instantly transformed, intending to massacre all the humans present. When he began to rampage, Satomi tried to fight back by throwing a chemical at Shimada's head, blinding the parasite. The pain made Shimada even more furious, and he rampaged indiscriminately, slaughtering everything in his path. At that moment, Shinichi, who was at school, was alerted by Migi that Shimada was on a rampage. He rushed to Shimada's location. Shinichi was horrified to see dozens of students brutally slaughtered by Shimada. He immediately worried about Satomi's safety. Satomi managed to avoid Shimada's rampage by hiding in a cabinet, But it didn't take long for Shimada to find her. Shinichi arrived just in time to save Satomi. During the fight, Shimada asked Tamiya for help. Instead of assisting Shimada unexpectedly, Tamiya threw a bomb towards Shimada. Shinichi, seeing this, immediately jumped off the building. Here, the effect of Migi's cells in his heart made his physical strength greater than before. When Shinichi thought Shimada was dead, he was shocked to still feel Shimada's presence, the parasite with a very strong murderous aura. It turned out Shimada was still alive. Police intending to secure the building were completely slaughtered by Shimada, who then went up to the roof. Not wanting to see Shimada continue the massacre, Shinichi prepared to kill Shimada with the help of Migi, who transformed into a bow and arrow. He shot an iron rod that went straight through Shimada's heart. Shimada finally died. Shortly after, Shinichi met with Tamiya. Tamiya said she would disappear from the city for a while. Then, Migi asked Tamiya what she would do with the baby currently in her womb. She replied that the baby would later be used for experiments. Before leaving, Tamiya gave Shinichi a piece of paper with information about Mr. A's whereabouts. Armed with this, Shinichi and Migi went to where Mr. A was located. Mr. A, aware of Shinichi's arrival, immediately prepared for a battle. Shinichi's fear came true. Migi suddenly fell asleep, but before doing so, it managed to transform itself into a weapon that it hoped would help Shinichi in the fight. A fierce battle ensued. Mr. A attacked with a speed that was now very different from that of ordinary humans. Shinichi, now incredibly agile and stronger, was ready with his attacks. During the fight, Mr. A shockingly disguised himself as Shinichi's mother as he attempted to stab Shinichi. Strangely, the hand of his mother diverted the attack with her hand, as if her soul was still in the body now controlled by Mr. A, causing the attack to miss. This time, Shinichi, certain that the figure was no longer his mother, did not hesitate to kill the parasite. At the end of this film, the parasite Takeshi Hirokawa, who had been elected mayor, and the scene of a special force formed to combat the parasites on Earth, was shown. This certainly makes us curious about what will happen next in this film, and the movie ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.